All right, let's talk about it. We're cracking the code on one of the biggest challenges in the IB, landing a perfect 7 in Maths AA higher level. It's a goal that feels, well, almost impossible for a lot of students. But what if I told you it's not really about being some kind of math genius? It's about having the right system. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build that system piece by piece.
So, let's just start with a quick reality check. On average, only about 14% of students around the world actually get that top score. Now look, that number isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to focus you. Getting a 7 puts you in a seriously elite group, and getting there takes more than just studying hard. It takes a smarter, way more strategic approach.
This is a challenge that even the top students face. This quote, it comes from a guy who ended up scoring a perfect 45 out of 45 in the IB. But his math journey, it started with a 4 out of 7 on an early exam. It's such a powerful reminder that where you start doesn't have to be where you finish. A comeback is always possible, but only if you change your approach.
So how do you actually build that comeback? Well, this is our roadmap. We're going to break down the strategic shift you absolutely have to make. Then we'll build a complete system on 3 core pillars. That's understanding, practice, and execution. And then we'll lock it all in with a winning mindset.
Okay, let's start with the most important part, the strategic shift. The idea that you have to be a math person to get a 7, it's a total myth. Top scorers, they don't just rely on some kind of raw talent. They build and they execute a deliberate, repeatable system.
So this slide basically shows you the 2 paths. On the left, you've got the hamster wheel, the brute force approach of just grinding out more hours and hoping something sticks. But on the right, that's the system. It's following a clear path, using targeted methods, and turning your practice into predictable progress. This isn't about trying harder, it's about training smarter.
And that brings us to pillar number 1, understanding. Listen, you cannot get a 7 with just a surface-level knowledge of the material. The absolute non-negotiable foundation is a deep conceptual grasp of every single topic. Just memorizing formulas, that's only going to get you so far. So what does deep understanding even mean? It's all about knowing the why. Why does the chain rule work the way it does? How do complex numbers link up with trigonometry? See, IB examiners are masters at designing questions you have never seen before. They test this exact thing. They want to see if you can apply principles to new, weird problems, not just spit back textbook examples. Grasping the logic behind the definitions and the proofs, that is your key to unlocking those top marks. So how do you actually build that foundation? Well, it starts with little things like this. Spend just 15 minutes watching a quick video on a topic before you cover it in class. It just primes your brain so the lesson lands on prepared ground. And in class, put the phone away, seriously. Research shows it can take over 20 minutes to get your focus back after just one distraction. And always be looking for how topics link together, because I promise you the hardest IB questions will always be at the intersection of different concepts. Okay, with that solid foundation in place, we can move to pillar 2, purposeful practice. This is where the real work happens. But again, it's not about how many hours you put in, it's about the quality of your training. You've got to practice like an athlete preparing for game day, with real intention and focus. A huge goal of your practice should be building what we can call intuition. Now, this isn't some magical ability you're born with. No way. It's that gut feeling for how to solve a problem that you only develop through massive exposure to past paper questions. After you've done enough of them, you just start to recognize patterns. You'll see a tricky integration question, and your brain immediately goes, I've seen this setup. The trick here is to let u equal this part. That's intuition, and you build it through focused repetition. And this right here is one of the most powerful tools you can use, the mistake book. Every single error you make is a data point showing you exactly where you're weak. But here is the key. Don't just write down careless mistake. That is a lazy diagnosis. You got to dig deeper. Did you make a sign error? Why? Maybe because you were rushing. Okay, that's a time management issue. Did you forget a formula? That's a conceptual gap. By finding the true root cause, you can fix the system, not just that one little error. Now, alongside your mistake book, tools like a question bank are absolute gold. A question bank is basically a searchable database of thousands of past IB exam questions. So once your mistake book tells you you're weak in, say, 3D vectors, you can jump over to the question bank and just drill 20 vector questions in a row. You isolate that weakness and you just hammer it with focused repetition until it becomes a core strength. That is precision practice. But look, deep understanding and perfect practice, they're useless if you can't perform on exam day. And that brings us to our third and final pillar, execution. Having brilliant math skills is one thing,
performing under the pressure of a timed exam is a whole other beast. This is all about mastering the mechanics of the tests to get every single mark you deserve. Time management is a weapon. A really smart strategy for the 2-hour papers is to just blitz through the shorter questions in Section A in about 45 minutes. This builds your confidence, it builds momentum, and most importantly, it banks you a solid 75 minutes to attack Section B. And that's where the complex, high-mark problems live that will literally make or break your 7. On exam day, you have to claim every possible mark, and that means mastering your tools. Your graphing calculator isn't just for adding numbers. It's a powerful problem-solving machine. You need to know its functions, how to use the solver, find intersections, graph derivatives, all of it without hesitation. Same goes for the formula booklet. Be so familiar with it that you can find what you need in seconds. And please don't give away easy points. Show your work, use proper notation, and always, always give your final answer to 3 significant figures. So we've built our system on 3 pillars: understanding, practice, and execution. But the final piece that holds it all together, the thing that really separates a high 6 from a solid 7, is your mindset. This is a total game changer. The IB is a standardized test, and you know what that means? It means it's predictable. And when something is predictable, it becomes gameable. So instead of seeing the exam as this big threat you just have to survive, you need to view it as a game with rules you can learn and master. This psychological shift, it reduces anxiety, and it transforms all that stress into focused energy. You're not a victim of the exam, you are a player, and you are there to win. So at the end of the day, getting a 7 in IB Maths AAHL isn't about some secret trick or being born a genius. It's about building, refining, and trusting a system. It's about deep understanding, purposeful practice, and flawless execution, all driven by the mindset of a player, not a victim. The system is all laid out for you. The only question left is, are you ready to play the game?